Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
We're going to talk about the rookie experience today. From start to end, the sequence of events that a rookie needs to know in order to complete a race successfully. So, I'm going to go over from the beginning all the sequences that take place that the audience in the stands is oblivious to. If you're brand new to racing, I'm going to try and break it down at least for the track that I race at, which is Montpelier Motor Speedway, that sequence of events from start to end so that you will kind of have an idea of what you need to know. This was probably my second ever race that I'm going to have clips that I'm going to talk about and the sequences that we went through and the experiences that I had along the way. Each year, you're required to purchase a license, register for your 1099, and then every race you have to have a pit pass. Pit pass fees vary on track. License fees also vary on track. I can't tell you what your pit pass or license fee is going to be, but nobody gets rich from racing. So have some money on hand. Let tracks run on cash. Pit location is very important as well. When you go to pull in and you're going to unload your race car, think of a place that you can see the entrance of the track so you can pay attention what's being staged, because as a rookie you don't always know what's going on. So choose a location that you can, observe what's going on in the staging area, as well as the entrance is clearly visible. When you're unloading, a lot of stuff's going on. Don't let your kids run around if you have kids. Just try and, set things up. I always lay out my tires in case I lose one, lay out my gas can. I kind of just mark out my space and unload and get everything just ready. Go over the car if you need to, whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself set up and ready for success for the next stage. Now, after you're unloaded, you have to go get your transponder from the pit shack. And once you've done that, then you also get what they call a pill draw. Nobody caught on this year, but I was using some magic sleight of hand to always choose numbers to be in the same heat races as my brother. So if you get away with it, great. But just let Larry know I kind of use some sleight of hand to always get in the same races as my brother. But anyways, you have a drivers meeting that's pretty much scheduled. You'll have to show up to that and listen to the rules. It goes over anything that's important, anything that needs to be communicated to the drivers. Pay very close attention to the drivers meeting. You'll get your sequence of the race as well in that drivers meeting. So that is a very important part of the process of the race. Generally, what happens after the drivers meeting, we get a few minutes to settle in, and then you do a wheel pack. For the Hornets, we don't really have very large tires, so we're not very helpful out there. It's where the big cars come in really handy. Um, it is a good time to go out and just see what the track conditions are in general. It changes during the race, anyways, but at least it'll give you an idea if they filled any ruts from the last race, if there's something that you need to be aware of. You just want to pay attention during a wheel pack. Again, it's only so useful because the track will change over time, and depending on sequence and what races are happening before you, that could be totally different by the time you get back out there. If the track's very muddy and just soup, well, chances are you might have a race where you're just slinging mud the whole time. So it's just kind of a good way to just get a general feel for the track, but it doesn't tell the whole story. You have to get out on a practice and start learning that. So we've done the wheel packing, and now the sequence of the race sort of begins. We have a practice, and practice, what it does is just allows you to get out there, get a little bit of experience, a couple of laps. It's also timed, so you really do want to do well in your practice so that you're
Ready to
set up
race?
for success in the heat race. And that'll ultimately just in the practice determine your position in the heat race. So it's not some place to really slouch at. In fact, everything from here on out is not some place to slouch. You really want to focus, do the best you can, nice clean race, don't hit anybody. Just go out and do the best you can, get the best time you're at. Usually you're pretty spaced out anyway, so it doesn't, wrecking is your own fault at that point. I think it's a good point in this video to mention safety. If you do not have all your safety gear on and all your safety gear engaged, you're not going to go out on that track. It shocks me how many times I see somebody go out on the track without a net up
Give us some
or
boost.
without their,
You ready to race?
neck roll on. Anything that you can do to make yourself safer. I'm not going to go out on that track. In fact, I've missed practice. I've missed sequences where things just weren't going to work, and I wasn't going to go out on that track until I was safe. So,
Good luck.
all right, we're in our heat race at this point. We've gotten past practice. At this point, this is going to set you up for either the B main or the feature, depending on how well you do. As you can see, there are cars exiting at the same time because you're groups. You have different heat groups. Pay attention to that when they post it on the board what group you're in. Use your phone, take a picture of that. That's what I use. I kind of look at the numbers that are around me, what cars. If I know these people, which hopefully you start getting to know the people that are racing with you. Um, Try and pay attention what cars, what number, and what your position is because when you're out in the heat race, if you're towards the back of the pack and you just, miss where you're supposed to be in position while they're lining up here, you can see we're going nose to tail, right? We're trying to bunch up everything so we can begin the race. If you're out of position and you're not taking somebody's position and somebody takes yours, trust me, they'll get away with that. So be a little aggressive with your position. Don't hit somebody obviously, but like make sure you take your proper position. You have your receiver on, right? That's a piece of equipment that you must have out on the race. And if you don't hear specific instructions to position yourself and you know you're supposed to be someplace, go ahead and take it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to get yelled at, right? So while you're getting lined up and before the race starts, you know, go ahead and position yourself properly. If you know you're supposed to be someplace, be there. Now you can see in the video here that I'm kind of trailing behind. Like I said, this is one of my first races, and if you've never raced before, talk to somebody that has. Run your own race. That was the advice that I got from a gentleman called Grandpa Donnie. So Grandpa Donnie told me, run your own race. If you need to stay at the bottom, nobody's going to mess with you on the bottom. You're going to go a lot slower, but nobody's going to mess with you down there. If you need to run at the bottom of the track, that's where you're comfortable. And then once you get the feel of your car, you get to know the track, then run a little bit higher. You don't run the ring of the track if you don't know what you're doing, right? It's pretty dangerous. And if you got a slow car like mine, which is just completely, bone stock, 20-year-old engine, never been through, you're going to run at the bottom. And if you don't run at the bottom, you should be, right? And you're just going to, cause some mayhem on the track, especially if you're a rookie. So stay at the bottom when you first start out. That's the biggest advice I can give you. And it doesn't really matter what class you're in. I would take it out slow a few times. It's great to be competitive, but if you're not out there doing safe things, then you really shouldn't be out there. I run into people, not literally, we're out there on events that are kind of special events or the beginning of the season. Don't mess with it at the beginning of the season. Those guys are all going to wreck out. They're going to not be there at the end of the season. You're playing the long game when you're racing because the points really do matter. And that's one thing that I also learned this year. Don't go ahead and just say, well, I'm gonna run the fastest I can. If you got a fast car and you've got the skills, go ahead. But like for a rookie, and this is what the video is geared towards, you're in it for the long game. You know, set yourself a goal. I want to be in the top 10. Next year, that is my goal. I want to be in the top 10 every race. That is my goal. And not featured yet. I'm not there yet. I know I'm not. But I want to be in the top 10 in the feature. I'd love to win a feature, but that is my goal. And so when you're running these races, set a goal for yourself that's attainable, with the car you have, the experience you have, and work on that. And then you don't feel like so bad about yourself if you don't perform. Right? You're not going to. I'll just tell you right now. You don't know how to set up a car, probably. Maybe you've got a really good mentor. Not everybody has that. I mean, my brother's been racing for about 10 years now, at least. And a lot of things I just learned from him. If you don't know, find somebody that's friendly, pit next to them. If they've got a similar car to yours, that's a great thing to ask questions. The worst they're going to say is get lost, right? And put yourself out there a little bit.
Well, I guess I'll start out. Well, it started out pretty slow for me because I was trying to get around a few people, trying to figure out the cars and the track. The car's got a brand new intake on it, much larger intake with a front body spacer. So I'm having to relearn that. Figured out the car's got a lot more power now. And then the track condition, you got to figure that out. It takes maybe a couple laps. But once we figured all that out, I was able to start passing people. It was just a heat race, but a heat race nonetheless put us in 11th for the feature. I think we're doing pretty good considering the car really doesn't have a whole lot of mods to it. So I'll pass it on here to Sean.
I was in the same heat race. I just came in last, but time-wise, I was still faster than some cars. I'm going to start 20th in the feature, so there'll be a couple cars behind me. And just want a safe race. It's gonna be a lot of cars.
Please take a second to like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to have more content like I'm producing here for you. And while you're at it, in 2023, please visit your local racetrack. Just your patronage at those tracks allows us, the race drivers, to participate in this sport. And not only that, we entertain you. So the tracks around the nation are struggling. So it really, if you like racing, you really need to visit the tracks. Congratulations, you made it to the feature, right? So at this point, we're getting up to nose to tail. Some shenanigans usually goes on. Some people brake check. Biggest thing to do is just not hit anybody while we're getting lined up. And the one thing I will tell you about lineup is once you get towards the back of the pack, nobody cares. Like if somebody steals your spot, you need to get into that spot. Don't mess around. If you know it's your spot, what's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody's going to say something to you over the receiver. I've been in races where I won't say aggressive enough, but I didn't stake my spot. And somebody grabbed 3 spots. That's 3 people I had to pass to make up that difference. So if you're trying to be competitive, get your spot, know the people are supposed to be around you, and keep that spot. If they go into yellow or whatever happens during the feature, they're going to reposition you properly anyways. But at the lineup, know your spot, get in your spot, stay in your spot, and get nose to tail. And that's what we're doing here. The race is about to begin. People are getting off the track at this point, and we're going to be racing here in a moment. But at this point, you're just lining up. The lights will go out at some point here, and that's your signal that racing's about to begin. And then wherever that position at the start line is, in this case there was a specific tire along the track, once you hit that spot, that person is then beginning to race, then so forth and so forth. You don't start racing until you hit that start line. So it does get spaced out a little bit, but if you're nose to tail like you shouldn't be any wait, right? You're right there. So I will tell you that the pace does pick up, and right now they're gonna start picking up the pace. You can kind of see it in the background there, and then we'll get racing. Now during the race, if you don't know the people around you and their driving style, there's a whole series of videos. If you spend the time in YouTube to look up people's driving styles, and I would tell you that there are people that are very aggressive. I haven't really come across too many dirty drivers where somebody's intentionally hitting you. I want a safe race. I would rather give up a position than risk hitting somebody. I'd rather have a nice clean race. I've been in races where I've been stacked up 3 across, and you can see it's a pretty wide track, but it gets a little hairy sometimes. I won't lie to you that once you get to that point where you're stacked up 3 across, you want to hold the line and not, you know your line. Once you get into racing, you get beyond that, initial rookie, stage. You should hold your line. You shouldn't be going up when the turn comes up. You should be sweeping down at the end of a turn. Those types of racers, everybody hates. I'm sorry if you do that, but everybody hates you. So don't do that. Hold your line. If you know that your car will perform well at the top, go ahead and take that line. But be aware. Listen. Even though you've got your receiver in, listen to the cars around you if you can, and know if somebody's beside you. It's kind of on you if you hit somebody that's on the outside of your car. So when I say that, on the passenger side. So you really shouldn't do that. I mean, I kind of say either direction either, because the window screen there's no reason to hit anybody. And so as you're getting through your race, you'll know you've messed up. And there's just no doubting it. I've been rear-ended. I've rear-ended somebody that cut me off. I mean, that happens. I was going faster, and because they couldn't hold their line, the person pulled directly in front of me because they were going up onto the embankment, and I was just at the top of the embankment, and they slid right in front of me, and I was going faster, so I mashed their bumper. That was an expensive mistake. I mean, it cost me money to replace that. I think I ended up eating a bumper that night, the bumper cover, the radiator, that's for sure. If you haven't done the radiator mod yet, I recommend that you basically loosen your radiator so it's not directly attached to anything. I'll go over that some later video. But anyways, I think I ate a radiator that night. I mean, it was horrible. Like, I ended up losing like $160 worth of parts over, somebody sliding in front of me. And that's really annoying. I mean, the car could have gone out the track, again, without spending that kind of money. So be aware of your race surroundings. And the only other thing I can say, and I'll let it round out the video here, is that, just run your own race. If you need to be at the bottom, be at the bottom. That you're just starting out. As far as gear goes, I might actually do a gear video later. Maybe we'll go over the costs and the benefits of different types of gear. But again, you're not getting out on the track without the minimum. Minimum would be shoes, pants, jacket, neck roll, Snell 2020 helmet, right? You have to have the proper harness, right? Racing seat. That's the minimum. Roll cage, right? A well-constructed roll cage. So those are the minimums that you should have before you roll out on the track. And I'm hoping you've found this information useful. If you like this video, again, subscribe, like it, and I'll just finish out the rest of the race here without any commentary.
Brandon Rose, your leader, Drew Smith. Elects to start on the outside of the second row. Terry Columbus final start on the inside. Then it'll be Dalton Smith.